Hello, beautiful people of the multiverse. Is my mic on? Yeah, my mic's on. Excuse me if this video is out of focus. I don't have autofocus on my camera, so we're still getting it together over here. I also don't have my glasses on, so I cannot tell. Today I'm just gonna be doing a braid takedown, and I took a couple notes on a topic that I wanted to just talk about from my perspective. And as you can see, it's about time to do this. I've had my hair done like this because I was working on set, and of course the production that I was working on has been affected by the 2023 writer's strike. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that today. I have my trusty scissors. I have my virgin coconut oil, so we're gonna see how this goes because it's been a while since I've had braids, and I'm sad I didn't get to fully, turn some looks with this style, but I was working on set and also working part-time, and I just didn't have time really to, focus on it. So here we go, we're taking it out, and maybe, I'll try this style again and refresh it after I give my hair a break, because it's been about 6 weeks, which is kind of a long time for me, for my hair anyway. So that being said, if you're interested, let's go. Alright, so hopefully this is more in focus, but basically I do union and non-union work. I do acting for a majority, and I'm scared to cut the braid. I'm scared that my hair is in here, even though I know that's unrealistic, right? I don't know what's wrong with me. But anyway, let's just break it down. Of course, I'm speaking from a Georgia perspective, and Georgia is a right-to-work state. So I have union eligibility, but I'm not gonna join the union just because it's not really a necessity here. You can be non-union and still work SAG gigs and act in SAG productions. Of course, it does affect how you might be perceived and your skill and whatnot, but as somebody who's just starting out and finding Georgia to be a good place to do that, I didn't think it was quite the time to do that and make that move. So when I do work on set and I'm not acting and it is a non-union gig is what I want to talk about, because I don't think people realize how many people are on these sets really putting in the hours, putting in the time, and who don't make anything, So what makes the strike different? It isn't. I feel like with most of these strikes, it is literally the same problems that keep coming up. It's having to do with just the progression of technology and the evolution of technology and the lack of evolution of contract. What we see happening now, essentially, I need to get a comb for this, sorry. So what we see happening now is a mimic of what has happened in the past, which I have a lot of opinions and thoughts about this, but I'm just gonna keep this general. The 2007 to 2008 strike was basically about technology moving to, I want to say, DVD. You're given these contracts for VHS, and then DVD comes out, and then DVDs sell at 10 times the rate. This is just me making up numbers. At 10 times the rate of the VHS, and your contract is staying the same. So right now with streaming, it's a question of how these streams translate to residuals for these creators. Residuals is the money that you get when media is reused, resold, or recontracted. According to WGA, half of their writers basically are working in streaming now, and this was secured through their previous contract, which looked into the future and predicted that technology was going to evolve into the point where your internet, your television services, it's all gonna interconnect. And so it has, and there were safety guards in place to assure that writers did get a minimum that is a livable pay, and that, when everything does move to these streaming services, or when streaming does pick up, Apple, I used to watch movies on or download movies or TV shows for later. I lived in England during middle school, so we always would just download shows from Apple. And the contract that these writers signed up for didn't account for their pay and how that would translate in these future deals, especially with Netflix and etc, etc. This is so cute. I should have just unbraided these so long ago. I don't know what I was doing. I'm realizing there's no way that I'm gonna get all of these braids out of my hair while talking about a writer's strike while trying to like film this on one battery that I have that's charged. So what we're seeing is that every change in technology with distribution of creative media and content, there needs to be a new contract in place and protect the creatives that are, all of the creatives that are included. There's also the introduction of ChatGPT and AI being used. Basically, it could be programmed to steal intellectual property from these writers and used to create future episodes and shows. There's no safeguard for the intellectual property of these creatives in place, and that's kind of an addition to what they're fighting for, because with these major budget corporations, production companies, etc., they're going to find ways to be the most efficient and save the most money for themselves. Period. And that's the business of like capitalism. But as we've seen from the past, a lot of amazing shows suffered so severely from the past strike in 2007 to like 2008. We do have fall television season that we don't know what's gonna go on for. People do still watch cable, am I right? People do still have cable boxes, huh? I'll be honest, I don't know fully the logistics of all of the aspects of these unions, how they're paid, their pay scale, etc. And I'm still learning a lot of that because I'm not in a union. But what I do know and what I can speak on is how the strike is affecting the non-union players on the sets. Like coming out of college, I was just trying to figure out the industry and see how I could get involved. I act, so I was trying to figure out how do I make this, dream happen? And so I did do background for a couple months before COVID happened, and I will tell you, there are people who make their living doing that work. And set isn't easy, especially doing background. You're treated very poorly at like the bottom of the totem pole, and people live off of this. That's people's career, and a lot of people are retired or fresh out of college like I was, but a lot of people just love being on set and love being part of this like creative process, even if you're in the machine of it all. And I will say this is going to heavily affect a lot of people, especially in Georgia, which is a place that doesn't really have doesn't have a union for background or stand-ins. The project I was recently working on, I was standing in for, and it was shut down, and I had conversations with other stand-ins who are going to have to Uber and Lyft, and that's the nature of freelance and gig work, especially in creative spaces, to make a living. But it definitely makes it a lot harder when you're working and you are living off of this. I have the benefit of having a part-time job because I understand in between acting gigs and between standing in and things like that, and it happens more so than you think. Everybody's looking for the next job, and that's on every set anyway. So seeing that production being shut down and physically seeing the strikers outside, it was really crazy experience. And so the options that these productions have are, these SAG actors and actresses are in contract, and a lot of them do have to finish out the shows that they're in. That gives the option of finishing the show without the writers, and that means you cannot creatively change anything in the script. Things that don't work, don't make sense, don't feel comfortable, you can't work with the writers and work out these kinks, and that kind of kills part of the process. So I know there are a lot of shows, I believe it's like Game of Thrones and other shows, that are going to suffer from not being able to edit during production on set. And so it brings to question how hard it is to give 0.1 or 0.2 of your annual revenue to make sure that the people who are part of this creative process are able to live and eat. And that's just speaking union-wise, because being realistic, these writers do deserve more. That is still truthfully their right, and in joining a union, they should have that protection. It sucks because now it's a lot of people that you will never see or know that are going through huge shifts of unemployment. And for me, doing my part-time stuff, that's cool, but ultimately, I love working on set. I love working on set whether I'm union or I have a SAG role or whether I am just standing in or whatever I'm doing. It can be a really rewarding job and great experience. A lot of people are saying not seeing how it's going to affect them, and of course you're not going to see that because Netflix and all of these streaming services that you use have a reserve of shows just waiting, that are just on the shelf right now waiting to be aired. And nobody's really gonna feel it until like a season or two from now, when they see the gaps in the plot and all these disconnected, disembodied pieces of a show. It just makes you question why it would be so hard. Is the loss, we're talking billions of dollars, worth it for the people who are making the decisions and making the contracts? I know this isn't like the super in-depth conversation that I want it to be, but I'm just speaking from my own experience and just saying that this is gonna be a very rough summer. This is a situation I don't really foresee ending anytime soon. But the reality of the situation is, until it impacts the pockets of the people who are making these decisions, nothing's gonna change. And so I say all of that to say, just pay the writers and let us all go back to our jobs, large or small, on set and work and, you know, be a part of this process and create. Writers are the backbones of these stories. They are the heart of the storytelling. Just pay them and, you know, give what's due. If those top percent of people hoarding all of this money and resources and wealth could just share, things would be so much easier. I have hope that things will work out, and I'm officially taking out my braids because I'm officially, I'm done. I'm not gonna do my whole head on camera because I just feel like this was a short conversation. I just wanted to give a perspective of somebody who does work on set. The process in just moving to Georgia, I feel like I've come a long way from when I was fresh out of college and just getting here, and just the experiences I've had on set have been so crazy. If you want more content and you want me to like be in more depth about it or my experience, just let me know. I hope this all makes sense, and I'm sorry I didn't even finish the takedown. I don't know why I thought this conversation would last the whole video. It'd be nice in an ideal world where everyone could get their even share of the pay for the work and creativity put into the whole process and what's going on. And that is all I have to say, and that is all. And thank you so much. I love you. Bye bye babies. Peace.